Hi guys, for this video I wanted to do just a quick overview and review of some of the things that we first talked about when working in Adobe After Effects. I hope you're enjoying your time off today and staying safe. When you log into the Canvas page, if you go to the Modules page, I've added another section to our unit for the Chapter 2 notes. Now, inside these notes is where you can download a helpful little shortcut guide for all of the keyboard shortcuts that are covered in Chapter 2. I've even included a couple of chapter or keyboard shortcuts that are not covered in Chapter 2. Also, I'll post this video down here once it's finished. Now, in this guide, I'm giving you what the keyboard shortcut will be and the results will be when working in After Effects. But also, I'm giving you the shortcuts in both Macintosh and Windows units, simply because sometimes they're slightly different, especially when using the Control or the Command or the Option and Alt key. But for the most part, if you understand how to do it in one system, it should translate well to the other. So let's jump back into Adobe Acrobat. First off, if you ever met with just the welcome screen, you don't have the project panel open, a good keyboard shortcut to make a new project is Command Option N. This will, of course, bring up your project panel. And then from the project panel, this is where we can either import files or create a new composition. Now, to create a new composition is the normal Command N. This will bring up our dialog box to type in the specific dimensions for it. Remember, when creating a composition, you can choose a preset or predefined composition, or you can type in the specifics of what you need. The main, most important thing to remember is your frame rate and the duration for this, and all of this can be changed later on. Another way you can import content is by having your project panel open, and you can double click on the empty space here, or if you wanted to import things, you can do Command I. This will bring up the import dialog box with this as well. Let's see, I've got this in my my downloads folder. Let's see if I can open up the newest chapter 2. Should be right down here at the very bottom. So here's all of our footage, and let's say we'll import something from here. One other mistake that I mentioned in the class is when you import an image sequence, you don't have to select all of the images in the image sequence. You really just have to select the first one and do make sure that image sequence is selected. This will automatically recognize all of the images on there. This way, this will keep you from having to open up all of them. Remember also, we've got our timeline down here at the bottom, so we can place things down here. If you need to save a project, Command S is a good one to remember. Now, since this is the first time, it's going to ask me, how do I want to save it? Just make sure you know where you're saving things to. If you're not familiar with a Macintosh system, you can choose your quick links over here on the left-hand side, and then you can find your folders or commonly used folders in the drop-down menu. In our case, you can also find the one with your name on it. Let's see, some other things that are good to know is how to trim your object or trim your timeline. Now I've brought in this little swimming shark. So if I press play, you can see it'll play all the way through to the end of here. But if I wanted to quickly and easily trim this down to a specific size, let's see if I'll zoom out so I can see the entire thing. Let's say I wanted it to start right at 1 second. I can hold down the Option and the open bracket key, and that will trim this particular part to there. Option and the open bracket. If I wanted to stop at 3 seconds, I can place my playhead there, and Option and the close bracket key will stop it right at that point too. And from this point, I can move it along wherever I want it to start or stop based from there. And so that turns out really, really good to be able to do those kind of things. The other thing we want to do is to start adding some keyframes to our design as well. I've got my selection tool. Let's have our shark move around on the page. Remember, if you click on the little toggle to open up the little arrow, this gives you your transform controls for the different most common ways of transforming this particular object. However, if you press the A key, This will only open up the anchor points. The P key will swap over to the position, the S for scale, R for rotation, and then finally T for the opacity. That's one I always change up. Let's see if we can change up the P for position of this. Another great keyboard shortcut is to be able to quickly and easily add anchor points or add your keyframes to these different parts. If we wanted to do this, we can hold down the Option key where we want to start adding a position. So I'm going to hold down the Option and then press P, and this will add a keyframe to there. I can then move my time over and then move my shark over. You can see how it automatically adds those keyframe positions as well. If you hold down the Option and the S, this will add a scale key point to it as well. So from here, I can move it down, and also let's see, I'll move it forward a little bit and make it bigger. So it's going to look crazy, but you can see how the shark will move around and scale up or scale down. So Option plus the A, P, S, T, or R will give you the ability to add keyframes to each of those parts as well. To quickly add some easy easing to these keyframes, remember you can click and drag over all of these. And if you have the ability to use your function keys, these are the F1, 2, 3, and 4. You may have to hold down your function key, but F9 will give you the ability to convert your keyframes to easy ease keyframes. And this adds a little bit more believability by slowing down and speeding up the movements between each one of those. Again, it's kind of a funny little animation design that I've done, but this is simply to show you everything that can be done. Hey, if you wanted to quickly and easily navigate between all of these keyframes, rather than using your mouse to scrub from one keyframe to the next, you can use the J and the K keyboard shortcuts. K will move forward in time to whatever the next keyframe is. J beside it will move backwards. And so this is a great way to jump back and forth between keyframes without having to use your mouse and scrub right where they're exactly at. To add some new layers, like a new solid layer, would be Command Y. So again, ask you for the settings for it. And we say, okay, this adds that solid layer to the top of it. Add an adjustment layer is Control Alt Y or Command Option Y. This adds the adjustment layer on top of this as well. Remember, if you ever need to rename any of these layers, you can always select them and hit the Return or the Enter key. This will give you the ability to give it a new name. If you double click on it, sometimes that will not give you the ability to change it. In other words, it'll just isolate that particular one. That may not necessarily be what you want to do. I'm going to close it out up here. Just hit the Return key. That will go into edit mode to turn those on. Looking for some other ones that I may have missed that's on our keyboard sheet. Those are the basic ones that are set up. Of course, there's your old standbys of being able to undo and redo and even save and quit. If you go up to Edit, remember, this remembers the last thing that you did, and Command Z is what we want to do to be able to undo and back up in time. If you go too far, you can do Shift Command Z to redo it. And this will bring forward in time everything that you've done or redo everything that's been done. Also, if you go up to Edit, you can see your history, and this remembers all of the different things that you've done up until roughly the last 20 different things. So if you need to go back in time to a specific point, you can use your history call out to be able to quickly and easily go back to a specific time where you moved to that particular point. Finally, in order to close out your windows, you can hit Command W, and this will close out that particular composition window. Or if you need to quit After Effects, Command Q will quit everything as well. In my case, I won't save whatever I'm working through. So for the rest of today, I'm going to give you a basic quiz that covers all of these different keyboard shortcuts. You're welcome to print this off or have this open on a separate screen to use as you take the quiz. I don't want this to be very difficult, but knowing these keyboard shortcuts is a great, easy way to quickly be able to work through all the projects because these are some very common ones that all After Effects animators have to know. All right, best of luck, and I'll see y'all on Thursday when we'll jump back in and finish up this Chapter 2 project, and we'll also talk a little bit about the unit project. If y'all have any problems or questions, please at any time feel free to let me know. All right, love y'all. Have a great day.